All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. And I just want to start my presentation with a question. So, when you hear the acronym NLP, what comes to mind? And my guess is a neuro-linguistic programming, because we keep hearing about neuro-linguistic programming all the time from YouTube and other different channels. And this is related to a psychology world. But today, we inviting you to reconsider this term. Because in this session, Vijayeta and I are going to talk about NLP, which means natural language processing, one of the most practical, fast-moving areas of artificial intelligence. And if you work with contracts, procurements, legal frameworks, or strategy, this is not just relevant, it's essential. And welcome those who don't know us yet. My name is Aina Alive, and I work with intersections of artificial intelligence, decision making, and emotional intelligence. And my guest today is Dr. Vijayeta Malla, a strategist with deep experience in large-scale infrastructure planning and scenario design. So together with Vijayeta, we will guide you through what NLP tools can actually do in legal and procurement workflows, how to structure smart prompts, and where is the limit and possibilities of machine reading really are. And I just want to make sure that you guys understand that this is not a theory. We will show you real tools, real prompts, and real demos. So I won't keep you longer. Vijayeta, I'm passing the ball to you. Feel free to introduce yourself and start your fantastic presentation. I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aina, for this wonderful introduction and also thought-provoking question that you started with NLP. It has got a different terminology in the current digital era. So, to give a very brief background of myself, so I'm Dr. Vijayeta Malla, and I have been in this construction industry for over more than 15 years in various roles related to project controls, such as scheduler, planner, planning manager, construction contracts. And currently, I am working as a strategy scenario planner for the project on Ontario Line Subway, and I'm working for Bantrill. Prior to which, I worked other LRT or the light rail transit projects from the organizations pertaining to both the contractor consultants in Canada, which is Elliston and Hayden Blaze. So prior to this, I worked for various major infrastructure projects pertaining to water, minerals, and metallurgical units, and also certain metro transit projects as a form of consultancy during my tenure over the last decade or so. So I worked with, again, large contractor organizations based out from India, such as Larsen and Toubro Limited, Tata Projects Limited, and I had a brief stint as a faculty and National Institute of Construction Management and Research, as well as published various journal articles, peer-reviewed case studies, and also served as an active volunteer and membership from the PMI, AACE, and CIOB. So here goes directly to our presentation related to the topic on how NLP or the natural language processing is going to help out in analyzing the contracts, trying to mine the various types of clauses that poses um, literal havoc, or in other sense very difficult for the people to interpret the legal knowledge that is present in the contracts. So I would try to first give you a theoretical presentation, more or less 15 to 20 minutes. And then I would directly go and present you the active demonstration of how you can utilize the open source tools such as the ChatGPT or the Google's Cloud NLP tool that's available. I understand that majority of our work in today's upskill, it's necessary for almost all the professionals to utilize AI as an servant or an assistant rather than cribbing or trying to get threatened by losing their jobs with the AI dominance prevalence. So here goes my presentation I would like to begin with. So just give me a heads up once you see my presentation slides. So my slides uh, goes with the contract analysis using NLP and AI based tools. So Aina, can you just give me a nod that my slides are visible?
Yes, we can
Oh,
see your slide.
perfect. Perfect. That's perfect. So I just go with the background of how the contract analysis can be done more or less with a lesser amount of time using NLP tools and AI based tools. So let me give you the taxonomy or the kind of lexicology with respect to natural language process. So before I delve into this NLP, I would like to give the agenda, what I would like to discuss in this session. So it begins with the introduction to NLP usage in the contract analysis or the procurement analysis. What sort of benefits and use cases that you can apply this NLP based tools, and how AI can enhance your procurement, especially the process part, utilizing certain AI based tools that are open source as well as some commercial based tools. And then I go with a live demonstration of how ChatGPT or the Google Cloud NLP can be utilized for both for interpretation as well as for the development of certain purchase orders or the procurement documents or the other kind of generic templates that you can have, and then you can modify or tailor it as per your project requirements. And then we can go with the conclusion and question and answers at the end. So let me begin with NLP or the natural language processing and procurement. So let me tell you that natural language processing or the NLP is a part of or the is a part of artificial intelligence. I think almost all of us are quite aware about what is an AI, right? So I'm not going in depth about what's an AI and how does it differ from the deep learning, reinforced learning, and all. So particularly NLP and procurement is a sort of a game changer that has come into the world of AI. For the past 3 years, a lot of traction has been gained at a moment, at a phenomenal phase. So, how does it help? So, there are the capabilities starts beginning with the document analysis, whatever sorts of supplier based communications that you want to go for, or any sort of process upskilling that you want to go for. This is where the NLP would transform your procurement process. And next, how does NLP help in the data processing of this procurement? So you have got AI has got lots of linguistic models that can enable you to study as well as process lots of information. If at all we look at any contractual document, especially for the large infrastructure projects, they are so voluminous. So processing by a single person, contract administrators, or the contracts professionals is really a mammoth task given a very short period of time. So this sort of NLP tools, it can extract voluminous amounts of data or the information that is present, and it can try to extract, give you the required information that you're looking for. So the insights could be related to payment terms or liquidated damages or sorts of delays, claims related information. So those are something which is quite extended warranty, guarantee periods, all these kinds of information. You need not explicitly sit on, check on various clauses. You can get it in within seconds, the information that you needed. So, especially for the data analysis, these NLP models try to analyze the procurement data and bring out insightful information that you would require. So, if we consider a procurement process which is primarily driven by natural language process, how does it look for? So, it starts with the documentation or the kinds of analysis from the documented uh, various tenders or the bids that you want to look for or the purchase orders. And then uh, NLP helps or tries to ameliorate the supplier based communication or the interactions. And then during the contract management stage, it helps in handling or tries to streamline the process of contracts management. And then, depending upon the insights that we want to look for, is there any anomaly in the pattern of the information that is present in the contracts or the kinds of terms that we're looking at? What are the riskier terms? What sort of clauses are not explicitly clearly mentioned? What are the loopholes that are there, so that proactively the parties can recognize the kinds of uncertainties that are present in the document and then get that modified. And then you have the various unusual data points that could come into picture. Sometimes I observe that some of the procurement documents are like cookie cutters. So they try to copy paste it from the previous projects or the documents that they have. And there would be an anomaly if it is not tailored to the current project. So those sorts of anomalies can also be detected easily. So now when I look at artificial intelligence role in this procurement overview, majority of the companies across the globe are adopting their I mean, into the processes of the procurement to boost the savings as well as the efficiency. So one of the report presented by KPMG, it suggested almost they could have a spend management between 5 to 8% increase adopting the AI, and the kind of efficiency at a very short amount of period, or the time that it takes to streamline the processes is outpaced, or it's trying to outsmart the human's intervention, where there could be some sort of parallax error or the human errors that could always be a possibility. And the kinds of opportunities with respect to cost savings and spend management is like phenomenal over here. So when I look at the next part, which is how does the streamlining benefit, or streamlining of the procurement would help, or the benefits of this NLP in procurement. So it tries to interpret the content that is there in the document, tries to extract the information of the key terminologies, or especially I found many of the legal terminologies are not that explicitly um, interpreted, or the meanings are not explicit enough. So they are implied is really difficult to understand. So what implies to the contractor or the owner may not be on the same page. And then also any sorts of error reduction they want to have it. So NLP tries to minimize the manual errors or the human errors. And especially with the workload streamlining, if you have got humongous amounts of procurement related tasks, NLP would try to streamline those procurement tasks through faster document analysis. And I was mentioning you about the supplier communication, how does it enhance, right? So if I look at the first aspect of NLP implementation, especially the translation of the various documents and messages or the queries that are coming from the different parties, so it translates in such a simple and lucid manner that any person who is not that acquainted with the jargon of the legal or the contractual communication, especially the professionals who are joining in the beginning of their career, I think this would excellently help. And then with respect to perspective assessment, so how does I mean it enables to look at from a different perspectives, because assessing different perspectives from different regional aspects is very much essential. So some of the cultural nitty-gritties that are embedded whenever there are projects of extreme significance, mega significance, there would be entities from the overseas contractual entities. So there could be an Indian organization or a Japanese organization working or supplying patented products to Canadian-based project. So how does the cultural perspectives be also considered? So that sort of gamut of understanding between the various cultural aspects and considering their perspectives is somewhat better when NLP is being embedded, NLP based tools or NLP is being used. And with respect to scenario generation, so it also provides you an opportunity for you to negotiate various scenarios or generate various negotiation formats for different types of stakeholders. And this sort actually eliminates majority of the communication barriers that could hamper owing to language differences with the suppliers, as well as it finally enables efficient communication that's clear and quite explicit enough. So when it comes to the risk management, so the risk management is something like you try to analyze the risk uh, upfront, which is like proactive enough, and try to incorporate, depending upon the change in the market conditions, how does different strategies would enable the procurement in a much safer zone rather than having a fluctuations um, uh, every now and then, like the political geopolitical tensions. All these kinds of scenarios are something like it can also embed and provide you certain strategies, what could be done in this sort of a scenario analysis. And then the kind of data analysis it does with respect to contracts and vendor interactions is also provides them a cue for better risk management. So when I come to the deeper analysis of the spend data, so this is something like a spend management is something like quite crucial in the procurement process. So NLP driven procurement optimization helps in the different sorts of patterns that are quite similar or dissimilar and anomaly detection, and provides better strategic insights for the respective higher management for the decision making. And coming to the contract management, this is what handling of the contracts that can be performed. So the data retrieval, especially the extraction of the information from the contracts, the clause identification, which is like pinpointing certain key clauses, like the payment clauses or clauses, or sometimes there are certain hidden clauses which are written at a very smaller font, which we might ignore it. So those sorts of nitty-gritties or the kinds of risks that could pose to the project can be easily identified. And also with respect to compliance tracking, the adherence of the various contractual compliance terms or the liquidated damages, various sorts of guarantees, various sorts of um, claims, or the delays related elements are easily complied. And coming to the template standardization, so here various sorts of contractual templates can be created and utilized throughout the different types of infrastructure projects or different types of um, projects that the company is managing. And the same thing I tried to project over here, the other aspects like the legal transparency. What sort of legal implications are present in that contracts, and how can we reduce the risks basing on the data from the contracts. And then with respect to enabling the predictive analysis or the kinds of predictions that you can make. So depending upon the anomalies that have been detected and the patterns that have been identified, certain forecast models or the fluctuations or the kinds of trends can be identified, and that can enable enhanced planning and or proactive changes. I know there is a saying by A.T. Kearney that today's procurement technology landscape is absolutely a neat package that looks great on paper. Unfortunately, it reflects the realities and the complexities of the day to day procurement. So, I do not, I'm not an active advocate of only being digital savvy. I consider the digital savviness to be a flavor or a kind of enhancement to your traditional or the conventional way that you work. So the foundational aspects, especially the critical thinking and your domain knowledge, needs to be stronger to enable you to ask or pose questions to NLP or ChatGPT or any sorts of generative AI applications. You can question it only when you have that subject matter expertise inbuiltly developed within your domain. So I would advise first get strong with your domain knowledge and then use the AI tools as your assistant to improve your efficiency with lesser amount of time spending on the mundane tasks, and especially you can concentrate that available time to other core aspects of yours. So as you can see the small image over here, artificial intelligence is an overarching theme, and then you have this NLP as another theme or a subset that is coming apart from machine learning and deep learning. So there are various startup firms pertaining to the procurement that's happening. So you have the robotic process automation, big data. So these are some of the firms that are actively concentrated in the procurement aspect utilizing AI tools. So these are also other few tools which is used for different purposes like the contract management, supply risk management, you have a different one. So these are some of the tools that I was mentioning that you can try to explore depending upon which domain you want to go for. Like if you want to go for spend analysis, you can try exploring the CO. And if you want to go for payments, look at for Stamply, purchasing, trade shift. So I would definitely hand over these slides to Aina. She would be sharing the similar kinds of discussion that we can have. And coming to AI implementation and impact timeline, I do understand that there has been frequent thrust and traction to almost all organizations on how to implement AI in their operations, day to day operations, as well as in the projects. it, Everything can't be done in one day, but it starts with a first step in a day. So the focus should be on the implementation and the initial impacts. Try giving certain period which you feel that it is sizable enough to get results, or you can measure the impact when with implementation, without implementation of AI or NLP tools. So after you identify, okay, let me take 6 months or 3 months, 4 months, it depends upon organizations aptitude for utilizing these tools, establishing these tools, having the necessary infrastructure, the subject matter expertise, the kinds of pilot projects that you want to connect upon. So after you consider that typical period and necessary resources, understand where you can tailor and utilize this NLP tools in your particular projects that can save your time. So time is money. So I'm not mentioning here explicit separately as cost savings. If you say time, that's equivalent to saving cost. And then you have to look and how, basing upon the benefits that you look upon, you analyze like how many years you can target to implement this kinds of necessary adaptation that you want to go for, either in the contracts or procurement process and contract handling, bidding process. And then check comprehensive review of the benefits and the value you gain, and try to um, actualize it or make it as a mandate in your organization. So, and I now will go for the live demo of an open source NLP tool. Owing to the restrictions of the company's data, I have actually taken some sample contract documents that are available on the internet. Like, for instance, I have this final contract sample. I also downloaded sample letters or offer, or you generally want to utilize any types of contracts. So I'm trying to show you there are 4 types of contracts I just downloaded on an open source. Okay. So owing to the non-disclosure agreement from my project, I'm not considering the project my project related aspect. Rather, I'm taking the open source uh, agreements or the purchase orders that is available, and I take that as the basis and try to show you the live demo. Suppose I'm considering this sample contract. Okay. So this is an agreement between so and so parties, and you have the various sorts of stakeholder information, who are the parties that are involved, what are the performance dates, venues, payment conditions, etc., etc., duties of the presenter, the various sorts of force major clauses. You have almost like what not, what should be included and what not. I mean, what is that which is missing is something like we can analyze upon. Promotion and publicity, post major conditions, souvenir programs, merchandise, autonomy of artists, termination, assignment, notices. So each of the clause has got certain information that needs to be interpreted actively. Okay, so this is one such document that I have in mind. So what I would do is I just open the chat GPT, and I have with me certain free open source NLP tools that I'm using for this session to demonstrate certain clauses that you can extract from the procurement or the contract analysis. So I do know that you can utilize ChatGPT only for and like I'm trying to show you this, but for organization or at an enterprise level, I would suggest the organization needs to take a subscription. Otherwise, ChatGPT is something like your whatever data that you enter, it's going to have a conflict of the various contractual agreements that you have with your project. So like no, you would be signing on, you or your project, entire project would be signing on the non-disclosure agreements. Confidentiality of the project needs to be very well adhered to. So I'm trying to just show you the ChatGPT, but you can, I think your organization needs to purchase an enterprise level generative tools or natural language process tools which are commercially available. A while ago I was mentioning you and I was trying to show you, right? So these are some of the tools that are available which the organizations can explore it at their for their organizational usage purposes. So the data or the kind of information that is being put into that particular tool and analyzed and you got it out, I mean, your information stays within the organization and your organization has got the rights to it, and it cannot be shared at an open platform. So I'm just trying to put over here like how to extract the clause and classify it. So I would try to upload a particular sample contract, okay, and I would ask the prompt. So here are some of the prompts that I have curated to extract certain important terms like the I would upload an attached document or purchase order and ask it to classify what are the different clauses, key clauses that I would like to look upon, like the payment terms, termination, dispute resolution, scope of work, confidentiality, indemnity, liability. And then I would ask to highlight it in 1 to 2 sentences and would also ask to give any sorts of ambiguous clauses or missing information is there in that particular contract so that you can ask the party to modify it. So I would just go and try to upload. So this I'm just showing it for my own for your demonstration for a demonstration purposes. So I try to upload this final contract sample and I would ask the tool to give me the following information with this prompt. So give me all these clauses, give me a highlights in 1 to 2 sentences, and give me what sorts of ambiguity or the risks that are present over here. So it tries to give me the information pertaining to the payment clauses, whatever clauses that I have asked. It's trying to fetch all that data. And then it gives me in 1 to 2 sentences the entire summary of the contract clause. And then it gives me what are the ambiguities that are present in that particular contract. So let us see what did it give me. So it was trying to mention to me confidentiality was missing, not addressed at all, and should be added if sensitive materials or trade secrets are involved. So this is what I was mentioning to you also. I am using over here the ChatGPT, but then for your project, you need to utilize, I mean, your company needs to purchase enterprise level software and then ensure that the confidentiality is not being leaked out. And in this particular contract clause, it was not even mentioning any indemnity. And with respect to payment clause, it's lacking exactly what are the payment amount, due dates, or late payments, how much it needs to be levied upon. And with respect to dispute resolution clause, there was locations for mediation or arbitration is also not placed. There are no such presence. And when it comes to the force major clauses, it was a standard one, but it could be more specific about some obligations that it needs to delve upon. So that's what the first prompt says. Like the second prompt, which I would like to highlight upon, was what sort of risks or compliance flagging that if you want to look upon, because like risk management is quite an important aspect in almost all of the projects and the operations that we go for. So now I can ask, can you analyze the uploaded contract document and identify potential risk factors pertaining to legal, financial, or performance based issues and flag the clauses that might lead to project delays, penalties, litigation, and also check for the compliance with the standard procurement documents, like if it is being followed with respect to FIDIC or World Bank or Asian Development Bank, ADB, GCAF. You can try to compare, make it to compare with them and list the relevant risks along with the relevant references and clauses and suggestions for mitigations. I would also share this sample prompts also, so you need not worry. So I'm just trying to ask the same information with the uploaded document. So it tries to give me the kinds of legal risks it is having. So there is absence of confidentiality clause, which we already saw in the previous one also. Missing of indemnity provisions, dispute resolution, no governing laws that's specified. And with respect to financial risk, there is ambiguous payment terms, missing payment schedules, lack of penalty clauses or non-performance clauses, and no clauses for escalation or change orders that's mentioned, performance risks, then the various sorts of so it, if you wanted to get it in the form of a tabular format, also it tries to give, depending upon how you wanted it to be analyzed for. And sometimes if you want to go for any strategies suggestions, it tries to add you, like it gives you certain recommendations, so you can, it's not hard and fast rule that you have to accept its recommendations. That comes, that sort of judgment or that sort of decision making comes with your expertise that you have in the domain that you work. So if it says legal risk, add confidentiality, indemnity, and clarification jurisdiction, this is making some sense. But what if it says me like performance risk, complete schedule A and set performance obligations? Maybe this may not be applicable for this type of contract, maybe. So you cannot blindly state whatever it is giving me, the NLP or the ChatGPT or generative tools. It's not they are not the gospels. So you need to take trade off on your judgment. So now I would try to go for another clause that I would like to go for. Um, any sort of change in contractual detection that you want to go for. So you can put some two contracts, like contract without revision, contracts with revision. If you want to identify the changes, you can see the comparative analysis. So let me go for another one is like procurement KPI and service level agreements. So for different types of contracts, so you can try working with these sorts of. So for instance, if I try uploading another document that I have, so let me take it from the sample shuttle agreement that I have. Okay, I can try asking about the kinds of KPI, I mean, or the kinds of obligations or the responsibilities if I want to go for. So your prompts should ideally uh, be tailored to what exactly you want, depending upon the different types of agreements that you look upon, rather than using the same um, prompts for everything, for every type of a document that you look for. So it was trying to analyze a clause or prompt that I have given, extract all the contractual obligations and what sort of responsibilities from the contract document, organize it as per the client, contractor, subcontractor, and tabulate it with the various columns that I want the information. So it gave me the party, the obligation summary, what sort of clause reference it's um, bringing up to, and what sort of deadline or timeline that is present, and any sorts of compliance indicators measured, recurring, ongoing. It's trying to give you an essence out of the document that you have entered. So now let us look at the natural language API demo So this is Google's demo that I'm trying to show you now. So application program interface. So here, many a times there are certain scenarios where you do not, and I mean, one doesn't understand the neutrality. I mean, the contractual agreements shouldn't has got their tone. Like, is it sounding positive or negative, or is it riskier? And you have certain metrics with which you can analyze. So this is something like called as sentiment analysis. So what I would try to do is I'll take at a particular contractual agreement and I'll try to make you understand how I can utilize, how I can analyze the sentiments of a particular clause, and does it sound to be a positive or a negative aspect. And if it is sounding to be too riskier, so I can very well ask the respective party to modify the clauses or give more clarification. Suppose, for instance, let me go for this entire part. Okay. And what I would do is, so this is the amendment section of the tenants agreement document that I have over here. And then I open the natural language API demo from the Google Cloud. And then I ask it to analyze for me, what does that mean? Or what does the tone indicate? And then I can get the various sorts of sentiments, categories of sentiments and metrics with which I can decide upon, okay, this is sounding to be um, too negative, too positive. So let me check over here. So it tries to give me in this form. Okay. So I'll explain to you what are these scores or metrics trying to indicate. Okay. So you have a score range between 0.25 to minus 1.2 minus 0.25 ranging. So your score, ideally, if it is below this yellow and green zone, your the contractual clauses seem to be deemed to be okay. But if it is going anywhere in this red zone, it's like there is a serious concern that the contractual clause needs to be redrafted or it needs to be modified. And you also have this sorts of analysis with respect to toxicity, confidence, insult, derogatory remarks. So you have this metrics all that is being analyzed for you. And there are these categories with respect to law, government, what sort of confidence is present with respect to real estate, service property management, what sort of confidence. So I tried to provide over here in this demo itself, um, what how do I decipher or how do I understand these metrics. So whenever your sentiment score is generally ranged between this -1 to +1, and you have a positive sentiment score when it is crossing more than 0.25, and if it is between minus 0.25 to 0.25, which is generally yellow color, it's a neutral sentiment, that's fine. But if you're having a negative sentiment, it's something which you need to look about it, where it is ranging less than -2.5 and so. So when you have a document score which is 0.035, it's close to neutral. That means the document is not expressing any strong positive or no negative tone. But when you are going at a very extremely low magnitude, whereas 0.07, when still the language is quite factual, formal, and unemotional. So the sentence score, you have similarly the neutral. So here, the various sorts of interpretations that you can make depending upon the kinds of metrics that you get from the Google Analytics. So some of the examples that I can try to show you. So we are thrilled to work with your team. So it gives a strong positive. But let us take a negative one. This project has been an absolute failure. That means it's giving me a score range between -1 to minus 0.5, which is a strong negative. So I have provided this sort of interpretation for you. So I'll be sharing this. You can just explore. So apart from Google Cloud NLP tool, there are other tools which I have listed over here. Owing to the paucity of time and to have enhanced discussion, I try to go with the most widely used tools for analyzing. The tool a, with a free access for all of you is like the ChatGPT and Google Cloud NLP demo that you can have it your if you have an account or an email ID. So you can explore these like the document, the avocado, form stack documents, which you can use it for the procurement purposes. So I try to also give you certain examples, like for instance, if I'm having over here, I don't want to name the company name, so I just provided over here. I want to try it with another one. So I'm just putting over here, the consultant shall submit the final invoice no later than 60 days after the project completion. And the commission will remit the payment up to $75,000 to ABC Consulting. So if I try to analyze that, so it gives me like what are the different entities that it is being discussed in that particular clause. One is the numericals or the numbers, then the entities, and the location. It's trying to identify, and then if you go to the sentiment, it tries to give you the score. I mean, like almost all of the text is giving me a score of neutral score, which is very good, and the kind of moderation and the categories. Okay, so this is what I wanted to explain about. I hope, owing to the paucity of time, I'm just stopping over here. I would be sharing you the demo files to Aina, and I'm really glad that all of you must have got some sort of key takeaways, and we can still interact over virtually in case if you guys want to work with me, we can still have better interaction, and we can work at projects at a personal level too. Yeah, a fool with a tool is still a fool. I do understand this phrase. Ultimately, what I emphasize is it's not the NLP that is what I'm trying to emphasize here. Have an emphasis on having a strong basis or the foundation of your domain knowledge or domain expertise, and then utilize these tools as your assistants or your agents or to amplify your work and ensure that you have ample amount of time to concentrate on the decisions that you need to make. I hope this session might have garnered enough interest to the participants who are there. So the participants who would look at the pre-recorded session also, I would highly thank all of you for registering for this novel session. And I would appreciate Aina for giving this opportunity, Be Agile also for ensuring that our short interaction we had last month, same day, I believe, 24th or 25th of May. It was just with our 1 month of interaction, we could deliver a kind of collaboration between the kinds of synergistic mindsets that we had. Thanks a lot to all of you.
Thank you so much, Vijayeta, and thank you everybody for staying with us until the end. So I will just give some information on how Vijayeta and I met. It was precisely a month ago at the PMI Lakeshore event here in Canada, Ontario, close to Toronto. So we both presented on AI topic, and appeared that Vijayeta's presentation was kind of like a following up after mine, despite we didn't know each other and we didn't collaborate, but it felt like me, Vijayeta, and another speaker who I'm going to host in July, prepared it in advance, so which shows the synergy of the topic, the relevance of the topic. And since that, we connected the same day. And so just in a month, we prepared this webinar and this presentation. And Vijayeta, thank you so much, because hard skills were always like my weakness, and especially contracting. I was terrified of reading and reviewing, and especially signing the contract. So with the nuggets you gave, I feel way more confident at work, at personal life, whatever contract I can receive or I need to write down. So now I have a tool which can show me all of the red signs, the green signs, and the neutral signs. So thank you. And I will open up the floor to questions now. Okay, so we have a small audience, so guys, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to raise a question or just interact with us.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello?
Hello, Massimo. Good to see you again.
Hello. Can you hear me? No, just information regarding the potential impact of the NLP analysis in terms of specific domain terminology. We are talking, generally speaking, of contract analysis, no? But a lot of terms in the contract depend on the business domain we are dealing with, no? So, your experience, what is the impact and how to manage domain-specific terminology to have a good contract analysis?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I do agree. So, if it is a domain specific, I mean, as I mentioned, like AI is something like you need to give proper data or the information to it. So, it tries to give you the information that you want basing on how you ask the questions. And there is no single prompt that is a right one up until you get you base, I mean, like basing upon your knowledge you'll be able to ask question in such a manner, and you have to iterate it, and on an iterative basis you need to change your prompts up until the tool or the algorithm is trying to give you the sort of information that you are looking for. Like, for instance, if I look at the oil and gas industry related contract or the procurement document, okay, so for it to give you the right answer that you are looking for, or the answer that you would tentatively look for, may not be right in the first instance or in the first prompt itself. Maybe you need to iterate what sort of prompt. So that's why, like, it's a prompt engineering. That's um, another important aspect that persons need to have. Obviously, if you are a subject matter expertise, now the tools have become so intelligent that even if you make some grammatical mistakes also, it's trying to understand it and trying to give you, okay, this is what you're trying to mean. And then it's giving the answers, which is like awesome. When I started with a new model, that it started with version 1 or something like that, it was not that intuitive and intelligent enough. It was it's just like a baby, how it tries to learn by looking at the kind of environment it's present with respect to learning the language. Similarly, even this AI tools would work for. So I would suggest that you keep on trying to iterate your prompts in such a manner till you get till you feel confident. Okay, yes, this is what I'm looking for. I mean, like that judgment solely lies on the. So that's why I was stressing upon, you need to have subject matter knowledge or an expertise, so that processing through the entire voluminous documents is quite cumbersome at a subject matter expertise level. So you can try to extract the information that you want as per the jargon language of oil and gas industry processing units, or what is the kinds of the deform I mean like default conditions, or the kind of performance conditions that you want to look for, what sort of production capacity with respect to performance you want to look for. So these sort of jargon which is specific to your industry, I think first you need to embed it or try to give that input to that tool and ask it to assimilate, this is the jargon, this is the industry which I'm working for. And then you can start iteratively modify asking your questions, that is with respect to prompts. I hope, is it giving any sort of a way through for the question that you are asking?
No, yeah, that's fine. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank you for raising the question, Massimo. And also, thank you for your phrase. It's like raising a baby when you talk to AI, because I actually
Yes.
spoke the same in my presentation about AI and Oren. If you guys don't know, I offered my ChatGPT to choose its sex and its name. So he chose that he is a guy and his name is Oren. So with my experience with Oren, I felt the same, that I'm raising a baby. But when I said it during one of the presentations, people looked weird at me, like, you're talking about a tool. Like, are you treating your ChatGPT as a baby? No. I'm still aware that ChatGPT is not a baby, but when you collaborate and when you teach him every day, it feels like you're collaborating with a baby.
Exactly.
All right, and we are at the time, so if there are no further questions, I think we can wrap up this call.
Yeah. Thank you so much for all of you. And thank you, Aina, again for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you. So we will host other presentations in July. I am planning to have 2 or 3 presentations in July, so stay tuned on my LinkedIn, and I hope to see all of you again and collaborate in direct messages. So you know my LinkedIn, so feel free to connect. Thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Take care.
Good evening. Thank you.